But in Tel Aviv, this looming negotiation sounded like a siren, and Netanyahu made his move. Bombs before briefings, airstrikes before signatures, because he knew once the talks begin, the space for him to maneuver will shrink drastically. That there will be no justification or for him to be able to justify bombing or airstrikes. The diplomats would take over. That instead of watching the skies, people would be watching social media feed to see what's happening in Oman. So Netanyahu decided to reset the narrative with force. Netanyahu has always viewed Iran not just as a threat, but as a delayed catastrophe. A nuclear Iran, in his worldview, is not only inevitable if unchecked, but existential for Israel. Unlike many Western capitals that seek to contain that threat through dialogue and treaties, Netanyahu believes only disruption and deterrence work. And at the heart of his fear is this: diplomacy buys Iran time. The JCPOA, in Netanyahu's eyes, was a catastrophic failure. It allowed Iran to keep its nuclear infrastructure intact, enriched uranium under supervision, and maintain the technical knowledge to restart a weapons program at will. It was, to him, a countdown masquerading as a compromise. Now, with the new deal possibly on the horizon, Netanyahu is panicked that history will repeat itself, that Iran will agree to limits, that sanctions will ease on Iran, that Iran will become wealthier again, and that Iran would be months away from a bomb. He is not afraid that these talks will fail. In fact, he is petrified that they might succeed. The mistrust between Netanyahu and US presidencies run very deep, beyond political parties, beyond political lines, and beyond presidencies. He clashed with Barack Obama over the 2015 nuclear deal. He pushed Donald Trump to tear it up in 2018. And now, even as Trump returns to power and seeks to secure a legacy-defining agreement, Netanyahu remains skeptical. To him, Washington's red lines are drawn in sand. American leaders, he believes, are too often driven by domestic politics, energy prices, or the illusion of peace. They chase headlines, not history, and in doing so, they leave Israel exposed. So when Trump said Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb, Netanyahu didn't cheer. Netanyahu sees only one guarantor of Israeli security: Israel itself, not the US State Department, not a UN resolution, and certainly not another round of talks in a hotel ballroom in Muscat. But Netanyahu's fear isn't just strategic, it's also political. Back home, he's facing mounting dissent. His policies are divisive, his leadership being questioned. And what better way to rally the base and unify a fractured Knesset, silence his critics, than to invoke the ultimate bogeyman? Every missile launched by the IDF reinforces the image of Netanyahu as Israel's indomitable guardian. Every drone intercepted reminds voters that danger is real and only one man is bold enough to confront it. Diplomacy? That's a bureaucratic game. War is a hero's legacy, and Netanyahu is writing his in fire. So what happens now? Iran, despite its losses, says it will still show up in Muscat. But make no mistake, the tone has changed. Tehran enters the talks not as the co-equal negotiator, but as a wounded lion. Its scientists are dead, its military is humiliated, its civilians are bearing the cost. Yet, Iran also sees an opportunity to cast itself as the aggrieved party, to rally international sympathy, to demand more from the US as compensation for Israel's aggression. Washington, meanwhile, is stuck between a bombed bunker and a diplomatic hard place. Iran is unwilling to believe that Washington, D.C. did not play a part in these Israeli strikes. Arab states, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, have come out and condemned these strikes, calling for restraint. This comes just days ahead of the nuclear negotiations between the US and Iran. For now, the talks are on. They are scheduled, they've not been cancelled. But the words that would be exchanged in that room would carry the weight of all those who've been buried just 2 days before the talks. The stakes couldn't be higher. If diplomacy collapses, Iran has hinted at direct retaliation, not just drone attacks, but strikes against US assets in the region. American embassies have already evacuated non-essential staff. Military bases in Iraq and the Gulf are on alert. Israel, having declared a state of emergency, expects more. Defense officials warn of incoming missiles. Gas masks have been distributed. Schools are closed. Iron Dome batteries are on full deployment. Netanyahu's actions tell us everything we need to know. He didn't strike Iran because he thought that Tehran was going to assemble a bomb this week itself. He struck Iran because there were talks that could derail his entire plan, an entire project of decimating Iran. He feared the handshakes in Oman than the warheads in Tehran. Netanyahu's fear of US-Iran talks isn't irrational. It's deeply calculated. It's the fear of being sidelined, of watching enemies get a seat at the table while Israel is asked to wait outside. It's the fear that diplomacy will succeed just enough to tie his hands, but not enough to stop Iran. So he moved first, loudly, lethally. And now, the entire world must live with the consequences of one man's fear wrapped in fighter jets.